to VaMo Radio.
Hello everyone, this is Vanessa Morgan on the one and only VaMo Radio. And I'm here today with the rising country music star, Cherie Oakley. Hi Cherie, how are you?
I'm great, how are you?
I'm awesome. So Cherie, let's jump right into it. Can you tell me, how did you get started in the music industry?
Well, I kind of grew up in it with my family, oddly enough. My parents had met in the theater, and then we went into full-time evangelism on the road. And so in the mornings, my entire family would sing together, and then at night we would perform original musicals that my parents had written.
Oh, wow.
So it was performing in church that I was discovered by an agent at 4. And that led to signing with a manager in New York at 5. And that led to doing it on more of a professional level. So I continued to travel with my family full-time, as well as doing auditions for theater and commercials and television and all kinds of stuff. And performed at festivals and kind of anywhere anyone would have me. And so I kind of grew up in it. And then when I moved to Nashville, that's really when I started, in 2002, that's really when I started focusing on songwriting and developing as a songwriter.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That is amazing. You got discovered at 4 years old. That is, wow.
Yeah, right.
Young actress. That's a beautiful thing. So did your family and friends help connect you, or was it something that you did on your own?
Well, I mean, I couldn't do this without my family and friends. It's an up and down kind of business, you know. It's an ebb and flow kind of thing. You can have a really successful few years, and then you can have a real lull. And there can be aspects of this business that are really frustrating. There's a lot of rejection for as many great things as I've had happen. I've had probably 10 times the amount of rejection.
Wow.
So I think it's incredibly important to have friends and family that support you and encourage you. A lot of people grow up connected to people that have a lot of connections. My family and friends, they don't really have connections in the business. It's all been kind of up to me to find those connections myself. But without that strong support system and encouragement, man, everybody's got to have that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing. You know, for you to be such a strong person, especially at a young age, for you to start at something so young, and then you're continuing even now. That's amazing. And you know, you've actually went on to being number 1 hit on Billboard. So congratulations. You know, the song with Reba and McEntire, was it Turn on the Radio?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. You know, you're very successful at writing. So how did you get the song to her, and what was the process of getting it to her, and what was it like, hearing someone as famous as her on the song that you created?
Yeah, that's double question there. It didn't happen for me the way that it normally happens usually. In order to get a song to an artist like that, you have a publishing deal, and there's people called pluggers that work at publishing deals, and they're the ones that take your song and kind of shop it around to different artists through different people that represent them, or producers that are working on their records. And so there's all these sort of proper channels that you go through, and I didn't go through any of them. Not for me. So I love this story, not because it's a great example of how everything works. It's not. Most things never work like this, but it's a great example of you never know what's going to happen. And so you just don't give up, because you never know how something can happen for you, because it can always happen in a way that's not the quintessential, normal way or average way, or way it's even supposed to. So I originally wrote the song for me. I had a deal that was happening as a solo artist, and I was really inspired to write something for me. And me and my co-writers got together and wanted to write something really fun and up-tempo. And I always think about how a song is going to translate live. And so that's really important to me, because a song can be really beautiful and amazing and move you on the radio, and it can fall flat in a live audience, especially in different types of settings. And so I've learned that just from touring so much and checking out different crowds and the vibe of a different room and everything else. And so we wrote the song, and then soon after, everything started to fall apart, basically, with my artist deal, and started to crumble. And I was sitting there going, I just knew the song was special. I knew the song was going to go somewhere. I'd been praying for a song, and I thought, how can this be happening? And everything felt so, I felt so helpless because all these things were happening that, weren't in my control, and I didn't know what to do. And then all of a sudden, I get a call from Dan Huff, who produced that record for Reba, and he said, Reba's heard your song, and she wants your song, and she wants it bad. And I was just blown away because I didn't even know she'd heard it. I didn't know how she'd heard it. Come to find out later that my co-writer, who did have a publishing deal, turned it into his company. And one of Reba's assistants heard the song and asked for the song and then brought it to her. But I didn't know that at the time. Mm-hmm. And then it all happened so fast. I wound up talking to Reba on the phone as she asked for the song. I wound up letting her have the song. I prayed a lot about it. I knew it was what God wanted, and I knew it's what God had meant for the song all along. The whole thing was very surreal because Reba was an icon and certainly a huge inspiration in my life. I grew up just idolizing her. I thought she was incredible. So to have her call my phone personally and ask was a very surreal moment. And then she wound up asking me to sing background vocals on it, which was...
Wow.
This is to answer the second part of your question. It's so surreal. I went into the recording studio, and it's this song that I wrote, and it's Reba singing all the lead, and I'm putting my vocals with Reba's voice. And it was a lot to take in. It was surreal. It was amazing. It was emotional. It was a lot of words, I think, or emotions that are hard to even put into words. And then I got to hear myself singing on the radio. I got to hear myself on a #1 song. It may not have been as the artist, but I got to hear myself all over the radio, shopping and Target and everywhere. And I got to hear Reba singing my song and know that I wrote it, and it went #1. And so the whole thing is I'm unbelievable blessed. I'm unbelievably thankful. The whole thing was a God kind of constructed thing, and it doesn't happen for people like that. And so it's still very surreal to me, but one of the best experiences of my life and certainly my career.
Wow, fantastic. That is beautiful. I'm glad that you had the experience, for someone who works as hard as you do. You've been doing this for a long time. You've been trying to get your music heard, working on your songwriting and everything, and then this opportunity opened up. And like you said, you never know. And that's amazing.
Yeah, you never know. So like I said, I don't like to share that story as a staple of this is how it always happens.
Right.
But I do like to share that story to let other people know, like, okay, maybe you won't get a publishing deal. Publishing companies, just like record labels and everything else, they're very cliquey, very hard to get your foot in the door, but don't get discouraged. You can still write songs that they'll still find their way to get to the right people.
Right.
And you can still be heard. And you just have to be willing to keep pushing forward, keep working hard, and kind of let everything fall into place as it's supposed to, but don't give up.
Definitely. So with that thought in mind, if you could work with anyone in the music space, who would it be? And, do you already have a song in mind for them?
Well, honestly, I know we're going to talk a lot about Reba. I would love to work on a day-to-day basis with her.
Wow, really?
I've worked with a lot of artists, and it's been an amazing experience, and most of which I'm able to call friend, pick up the phone, and if I need something, they're there, and that's an incredible experience. But I think to be able to be around her, I've only been around Reba a handful of times, and worked with her a handful of times, and every single time it makes me want to be around her more, and every single time it makes me want to work with her more. And I think she's been such a savvy businesswoman. I think she's incredibly smart with the choices that she makes. She's incredibly classy. All kinds of different things can happen in your life, and she certainly has dealt with her fair share of some personal struggle and loss over the last few years. And the way she's just handled it is with such class and such grace. And as a true entertainer, it should be about our music, not about the drama of our personal lives. It should be about entertaining a crowd and being somewhat of an escape for people, rather than, I think, always shoving our own opinions about our, political, religious, or whatever beliefs on other people. It's, I think she embodies everything that I hope to, replicate in so many ways. So I think just to be around her on a day-to-day basis would be fantastic.
Oh, wow. I think that would be a really great collaboration. Like, if you guys were to, work together really closely, I think that would be amazing. Because I heard your,
right? I know.
Right? Your style is amazing. And then Reba, she's an icon, of course, and her stuff is really, I don't know, sultry, kind of smooth sounding, and it's really relaxing. I think you guys can make some really great hits.
Yeah.
So, here at VaMo Radio and the VaMo staff completely, and also I also work at Post Productions. So we have lots of artists that listen in and lots of musicians who are, again, trying to get their foot in the door and everything. So is there any kind of advice you would give them on what they could do to, I guess, make it in the industry?
Yeah, lots of advice. So let me try to condense it. First thing I would say to anybody that aspires to do it, you got to go where it's at. You got to go where the action is. If you want to be an actor, you need to go to, Wilmington, North Carolina is a huge place for actors to be. You can get a lot of work there. But the number one place everyone knows is Los Angeles. Go to Los Angeles. If you want to do musical theater, go to New York. If you want to do country music, go to Nashville. And not even just country, because there's all kinds of music now that's getting bigger and bigger. A lot of pop artists started in Nashville and made a lot of connections in Nashville. Ryan Tedder is somebody that I used to know for a while when I lived in Nashville, and he lived in Nashville at the same time. And then, of course, he went to L.A. a little later on. But this really helped develop him and give him a solid foundation. So I would say to anybody, go where it's at. Make as many connections as you can. Learn. Be a student. I don't care how old or how young you are or how much experience you've already had in your career. Be a student. Learn the ropes of how country music works. There's a certain amount of etiquette that is involved in being an artist that you should always have. Learn what that is. Learn how people should treat other people, coming up in the ranks and coming down in the ranks. So be a student, go to where it's at, have self-respect. Being young is never an excuse to make stupid decisions, because Nashville's a small town. It will follow you around. So be professional. Take your job seriously. Yes, music is fun, and it's in a very much of a party atmosphere, but take it seriously. If you want to make it happen, you need to take your job seriously and realize that everything, everywhere, all the time is an opportunity.
Definitely. Wow. No, I really appreciate that. You actually giving your words of wisdom to some of the artists out there who are, kind of struggling with their music, or struggling or inside of a roadblock where they can't really get out, and they're trying to get their music heard and everything. I know it's a lot of work. I work with a lot of artists, and I know some of them have to, get their press kits together and get everything together and look professional and everything to just put it out there into the world. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, thanks.
So tell me, how do you come up with your songs, Cherie? So do you usually write them on yourself, or is there a lot of collaborations that go on?
I prefer collaborations. I love being able to bounce ideas off of other songwriters. I love to be able to talk about, where a song should go. I also like to get with the right people and see where they're going to take an idea, or once we start a melody, where are they going to take the bridge? So I love the idea of a collaboration. So I definitely consider myself to be a co-writer, and that's how I prefer it. But every song is born a little differently. For me, I'm very calculated. So I usually, if I come up with an idea and if it's very rhythmic, I know exactly who I want to write the song with. If I need something that's going to be heavier on the lyric side, I know exactly who to call to co-write with. So I kind of have figured out, it almost feels like a lot of blind dates when you are doing a lot of co-writes, because you meet with a stranger, you try to develop some sparks, and write a song, and sometimes it goes really well, and sometimes it doesn't. You don't ever want to go on a second date with them. That's kind of what co-writing is like. Wow. And so when you go out with enough people enough times and you write a song, you find which ones you want to continue that relationship with and which ones you don't. So for every song, I have different people in mind for every idea. I always come in with some sort of ideas, whether they are a half of a melody on a song. Sometimes I'll come up with a verse, a chorus, and a bridge. And then it's just, I need help with some lyric spots. And sometimes it's a true collaboration where I have kind of basic idea of I know what I want to say and I know how I want the song to feel. But we get in a room and we figure out the melody together and we feel how lyrically to get across what I want to say. So every song is a little different, but I try to be really calculated with exactly who I want to work with and who's going to be the best fit for every single idea.
Wow, man, that's a lot, to think about. You're going through the different parts, breaking down the song entirely on each section and what you want to do, what you can do, what you can't do. That's awesome. I've never really heard anybody say something like that.
I don't think it happens that way for everybody.
I think that's so cool, for you to actually have the mindset to be like, before we just think of let's make a song, let's actually break it down and figure out exactly what we need, what we're looking for, what we're trying to create, what kind of sound we're looking for. I think that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm a very purposeful writer. I don't just go, oh, I saw a different colored bird today and it inspired this song. Like, for me, it's way more purposeful. It's like, what do I want to say and how do I want to say it and how do I want to get something across that's deep and important and something that I'm passionate about and believe in. And that's even with the songs that are just kind of silly tongue-in-cheek songs. It's like we all need, to escape, the difficulties of life sometimes, and music can do that. So I think if you're going to write a song that's going to be inspirational and happy and just a simple escape, even that needs to be very purposeful. So yeah, everything is, I always think about things way ahead of time.
Definitely. So Cherie, say if a producer wants to work with you, what's the best way for them to give you their music?
Well, nowadays, because of social media, you can almost do it just about anywhere. But you can definitely go on my website, which is www.cherieoakley.com. And you can contact me on there. And there's a little space at the bottom which says management and booking. You can always contact me through management. They always shift every email right to me, so I always wind up getting it, even if it goes to them first. You can also sign up for my email list, and then I'll have your contact information. But you can always private message me on Instagram or Facebook, Facebook is Cherie Oakley Music, and Instagram is probably Cherie Oakley. And I've even been contacted by people on Twitter, which is just Cherie Oakley. So I think with social media now, there's just a plethora of different ways to contact me, but it's really, really important to me to be very connected with anybody who reaches out to me in any way, shape, or form. If you're just having a bad day and you're in a rut musically and life is just kind of sucking all the creative juices out of you and you're a writer, contact me. I've been there. I'd love to give you advice and talk about it and encourage you if you want advice on anything, whether it's personal or professional, or you want to send a song or whatever, or I've been hired to do background vocals before and everything on social media. So it's just really important to me to feel like I have a connection to people. So whenever you contact anything on any of my sites, I do read it. I do respond.
Awesome. So, Cherie, I really would like to know, it seems like you do a whole lot of stuff. You do the music and the songwriting and the piecing together and everything. So I would just like to know, what is a typical day in your life?
Well, every day is totally different. Totally different. So that was the only question I was like, well, I'm not really sure how to answer this one. But usually to kind of pinpoint some things that I do every single day and try to stay on top of is I always check any messages on any site that I'm doing. Some days I'm in the studio all day, but I still do that to at least make sure if somebody reached out and contacted me, I'm contacting them back and they're getting a response within a certain period of time. I always try to stay current on letting people into my everyday life, whether it's through my stories on Instagram or Facebook or posts. and kind of let people know what I'm doing today or what I'm not, or what I'm working on. So I try to stay current on that. So I do that every day, no matter what. And then some days I'm in the studio, some days I'm writing. Some days I am filled with hundreds of emails, and I'm answering emails all day long, chained to my computer or my phone. That's one thing that was kind of like, wow, I had no idea there were so many emails that happen when you have publicists and managers, and you're handling booking stuff, and you've got an artist career. It's like, wow. So some days I'm literally doing nothing but emails all day long, and it's like hundreds of emails all day. So every day's different. It always includes some type of computer work. I always try to do something creative every single day, whether it's even in music or just in my personal life, like rearranging a room or something. I think creative people have to get out creative energy in healthy ways, in different ways. So I always try to do something that's creative. And that's kind of the only way I know to sum up like a typical day. Because sometimes I'm performing on radio stations and television, and sometimes I'll still get called to occasionally go out and fill in for people on a tour. And so, yeah, my life is like just kind of crazy. It's very scattered.
Well, it's great to hear that you're like always staying busy. You're trying to get your creativity out there. That's awesome, though. At least you don't have typical days. That's awesome. I understand.
Thank you. I'm glad you think that.
I definitely understand those emails, girl. Like every day, like just hundreds of them you have to go through. It's like, oh, geez.
And then if you respond, you just get a response back. Then you get a response again. It goes back and forth. I know. It doesn't stop.
So, Cherie, tell me, do you feel like social media has, helped the music industry in any way?
I think it has tremendously. I think that if you go back to like the iconic movie stars of like the 1950s, there was a major, major, major difference between those Hollywood movie stars' personas and who they were on a day-to-day basis. And the public was kept out of their day-to-day lives. You didn't get to see these glamorous women without makeup and walking around, and there weren't paparazzi like there are now, and a lot of things like that. So there was a huge separation. But even then, I used to love to go to antique stores, and I would get these old vintage magazines of like the 1950s. And even then, you'll see that people were desperately wanting to find out about their day-to-day lives, what they like to eat, where they like to go, different things they like to do. Like, if you read gossip magazines from the 1950s, it's like, oh my gosh, it's crazy, it's hilarious. But not a lot has changed. There's still a fascination, I think, where people from the entertainment industry are concerned with, concerning fans. And I don't think it's unhealthy. I think it's people just want to feel connected to you.
Right.
And they want to feel like they have some sort of a window into your life, and they have some sort of a way of knowing you. I think that that has always been how it's been. I think that social media has just given fans that opportunity in a way that they never had before. And I think that's a fantastic thing. I think it's up to each individual person to decide how much you want to give of yourself 24/7 and what is private. For me, I've let everyone know on social media that I have a family, but that's very private to me. You're not going to see all of my family's faces on social media all the time, because that's just not really what I'm comfortable with. And part of that is, there's always a good and a bad to everything. It's also really bad that hiding behind a keyboard, people feel that they can be really mean and bully and say a lot of things and criticize you in a way that they never could before. So that's the flip side to social media. So you have to decide, okay, what am I putting out there, and what am I putting myself out there to receive? Do you want to receive criticism as a mother? Do you want to receive criticism as a wife, or, as a Christian, or, do you want to receive, because if you put everything out that you do, you leave yourself open for people to criticize and condemn and say all kinds of things. So I think it's up to each individual entertainer to decide how much of myself am I going to put out there. And for me, I am an open book. You can ask me anything. I'll talk about anything. But when it comes to my family, there is an element of protection there and privacy there that is incredibly important for me to preserve. I had a career before a family. Mm-hmm. My family does not define my career or who I am. It's a part of me, but there's a million parts of me. And there's a few parts that I'm unwilling to open myself up for criticism from people that don't know me or my life or what happened that day. But I'm totally open to whatever anyone wants to say about, the way I look or what my music sounds like, or if they do or they don't like something that I put out. That's part of it. When you put yourself out there, you open yourself up to the good and the bad and the ugly.
Yeah.
So I think it's helped incredibly to boost people's careers. It's helped to create a bond between fans and artists and entertainers, which I think is a fantastic thing. That's my favorite thing about it. I get to interact on a daily level or on a daily basis on a personal level with fans. And I love that. That's like my favorite thing about music other than performing and singing is being able to contact friends and fans that become friends, and they can contact me as well. But I think that on a personal level, you have to just decide how much you're willing to put out there.
Right, exactly. So actually in your career, you started out as a writer, as a songwriter. So what made you decide to become an artist?
Well, they kind of went hand in hand. When I came to Nashville, I had stepped off of a tour bus with a Christian music group. And that's really the only reason I even came to Nashville is the bus stopped in Nashville and I got off. So I didn't know what anything was going to hold. I didn't know. I didn't come here going, I'm going to be a country music singer. That's what I'm going to do. I just came here knowing I'm an entertainer. And that's all I've ever done. And what does that look like in Nashville? I have no idea. But I realized that I had always been creating original music from the time I was a toddler. I just didn't realize that was songwriting. I was always creating melodies and always creating songs and I just didn't realize that's what it was.
Wow.
And so when I got to Nashville, that was one area of music that I hadn't really dove into, and it was really enticing to me. And it was something that I always like to challenge myself. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. And at first, I had opportunities open up for me to be a Christian music artist.
Wow.
And so I started writing Christian music first.
Oh.
And one thing kind of led to another, and then I started singing demos for all different kinds of music. And then I realized that Christian music probably wasn't the right place for me. And one thing sort of led to another, and then I found myself in country music doing a ton of work as a background vocalist, and it was exciting and it was fun, and it just kind of happened. One thing led to another. And so whenever I've done anything, it's always been in conjunction with something else. When I did theater, it was always in conjunction with the fact that I was a singer, first and foremost. And then when I did songwriting, it was always in conjunction with the fact that I've been a performer for so many years. And so that really helped my songwriting process because I understood an audience and I understood, a room. And, if it's a banquet, you're not going to do all your up tempos. You're going to focus more on your mids and your ballads. If it's a listening type of room, it's going to be mainly ballads. If it's a room where people want to party, you got to do all up tempo. Those different things help as a writer,
right?
Because you see how are things going to translate, from your songs that you're writing into live. Because nowadays, that's where people are making their money. It's not through streaming and things like that. It's through touring.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Definitely. So I actually want to ask you something, Cherie. You have an amazing personality, you're a very beautiful woman. You have amazing personality, beautiful smile, perfect body. You know, you have everything going for you. Great career going for you.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you.
It's like you have it all. So, like,
Can I talk to you every day?
Girl, yes, every day. This is every day. So tell me, how do you have it all? Like, is there some type of secret to it? Like, is it something that we could get into that you have going on?
Oh, my goodness. No, because I certainly don't wake up and feel like I have all that every day, let me tell you. But thank you. I mean, I really appreciate that. That kind of just made my day. So thank you. You know, it's so weird that I think we always view ourselves so differently than the way other people view us. And I don't feel like my career has had like tons and tons of success, but that's also because I've been on the other side and I've seen and experienced all the rejection. And I know that if one, you know, weighs a bit more than the other, it's definitely the rejection, not the successes. So I think it's just everybody looks at someone else, the way they look, their accomplishments, the things that they do. And I think that they don't see all of the yucky stuff. And it looks a little different on the outside, I think.
Wow. Yeah, I get exactly what you mean. And that's amazing. You know, you're very humble and everything, and it's just amazing to me how you come so far and you're still going. I think that's amazing. You know, a lot of people people were like, okay, well, I've done my best. I'm done. You know. But you're amazing. You know,
I mean, I'm just grateful, and you know, you got to keep moving forward. You just keep pushing forward, and I had somebody ask me a question the other day, and I told him, I said, you know, when a door closes, a window doesn't always open for you. Sometimes you got to take, you know, a tool and cut a freaking window through a wall to get something to open for you. You know, it's a lot harder than it's just, when one door closes, the window opens. No, it doesn't.
Right.
Not always. So I told somebody that the other day, because I've done that, you know, a million times. But I can't say that I have done it alone. I worked really, really hard to have a good work ethic and a good reputation in this town. And I've been so gracious and thankful. I'm so grateful that people have graciously, you know, called me up and wanted to, you know, open opportunities up for me and extend an opportunity for me. And that's really why my career has been, you know, I guess moving on the upwards that it has is been other people. And I'm grateful for that. Very grateful.
That's awesome. I'm really glad that you actually have these kinds of experiences. You know, you're not all, you know, what they call it, big-headed, what they call, you know, people who think that they have everything and everything's just going for them and they're perfect and all that. You have your downfalls as well, and, you know, that actually makes you a better person. It makes you grow from those kinds of experiences. And you actually had that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Awesome. So, Cherie, tell me, where can people find out more about your music and how can they keep up with you?
Well, I'm getting ready to release another single here pretty soon. So we're right in the middle of scheduling for video shoots and all that. So it's a really exciting time. If you haven't heard my music, go to Spotify and any of the streaming sites that are available. I'm on all streaming digital platforms. I'm also on Apple Music, and you can actually buy it there, or on Amazon. You can buy it there, too. And then on YouTube, you can see my official music video, which is also being played in participating gyms and health clubs in America and Canada, as well as some hotels and airplanes. And then you can find me on any of my social media sites. So go to Instagram. I'm probably Cherie Oakley. Facebook, Cherie Oakley Music. Twitter, Cherie Oakley. And my website, which is cherieoakley.com. And just keep up with me because I'm really excited to get this next single out. And then we'll be gearing up to release my full EP pretty soon. And, you know, it's been a lot of work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of prayers, and a lot of people stepping in and helping out to make this EP happen. And so I'm so excited to get it out. So now is the perfect time. If you're not familiar with my stuff, check it out. Start following me. Message me. I love to hear from you. And, and get ready to release some more stuff. You can hear my current single out now.
Awesome. You guys, you have just heard it from Cherie Oakley. And again, you can listen to this interview by visiting VaMo-radio.com. And it'll also be on my YouTube page. And I'll also be sharing a lot of links. So make sure you stay tuned to our social media as well. And again, you guys, if you want to listen to her music, again, go to Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, or go to any of those kind of streaming sites to listen to some of Cherie Oakley's music out now. And she also has a new release coming soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Thank you so much, Cherie. I appreciate you so much.
Oh, gosh, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for taking the time and having this interview with me. It was really fun.